Now, stories of ex-convicts and hardened criminals going back to crime after serving jail terms have become more of the norm than the exception. Social rejection and stigma, among others, facilitate their recession into their former life. There is some hope, at least, for a member of a gang which terrorized and robbed residents of Kumasi of their property for years. After spending 20 years in jail, Baba, as we call him in this story, wants others to learn from his experience and change for the better. He spoke exclusively to Ashanti regional correspondent Mahmud Mohammed-Nurudeeen.
For the purpose of this story, we would refer to him as Baba, who is in his 30s. He has gone through enough to last anyone a lifetime. It all started with what he describes as a small task. Baba committed all manner of crimes at drinking bars and other public places. From phone snatching to naked armed robbery, his life in crime began when he was just 15.
At a tender age in school, I was a footballer and people liked me so much. Life was exciting. Until one day, I decided to become a driver's mate. On my first day, I got money and that was the beginning of my woes. I decided not to go to school again. My parents did everything they could to get me back to school, but it did not work. I maintained a job and subsequently became a driver. Day by day, my life began to head towards a wrong direction. I made bad friends and we lived all kinds of life. In fact, I was prepared to engage in any violent act.
Baba didn't finish school. He was hungry for money and would attack innocent people for it and even take their property. Though he did not wield a weapon, his 3 other friends with whom he embarked on operations all carried a gun at one point or the other.
I met my friends at the ghettos and we planned and began our operation. We robbed people of their phones and monies at different places. My friends had weapons, but I, on many occasions, was driving them.
Baba and his friends never had any special training like many other criminals, but they succeeded in any operation they embarked upon. Baba's share of booty from their first operation then was 80 Ghana cedis. Sometimes things got worse and the only choice is to protect their dear lives.
In our first operation, I had just only 80 cedis and I spent it all on women. After every operation, I was excited and thought I was the strongest man on it.
About 21 years ago, Baba and his friends were arrested and jailed for multiple crimes in Kumasi. He spent 20 years in prison while the others were sentenced to other various terms. The love for money compelled him to drop out of school to be baptized into the world of violent crime. Baba has now turned his back on crime after serving the jail term. He hopes to find deliverance, but he is unsure where it will come from. Until then, he is doing his best to pick up the pieces of the 20 years he has missed and move on. Mahmud Mohammed-Nurudeeen's report.